Welcome everyone to Willow's weather briefing. Today is Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. Today we have severe weather and flash flooding expected over the Ozarks and Mid-Atlantic today. We have above average temperatures for much of the southern United States, especially areas such as southern Texas and Florida. We have below average temperatures for much of the northern United States, including the northern plains, northern Midwest, and Northeast. We have a multi-day heavy rain event here in the Ozarks and areas around this by this weekend. Overall, later on, we expect very gloomy weather in the Northeast, scattered storms in Florida, and heat continuing across southern Texas and areas around the Gulf Coast. We should see a gradual return to normal temperatures around these regions, which should give much needed reprieve to the heat by the middle of next week. Here's our satellite look. We have this broad low pressure system spinning over here, which was responsible for a severe weather threat yesterday, but this is mainly responsible for our below average temperatures way up here in the northern tier. Other than that, pretty clear skies throughout the entirety of the rest of the United States. Pretty nice day in general. Here is yesterday's storm reports. A large swath of wind here in the main enhanced risk region, which was pretty much expected. We have a couple of tornadoes, some of which ended up being strong. So good forecast by the SPC here. Spotty hail reports here in the Mississippi River Valley, and even a tornado report here. And also we had one nice supercell here in central Illinois, which spawned a brief weak tornado, and also possibly a stronger one here in eastern Illinois, and a couple of weak tornadoes over here as well. Overall, pretty good forecast by the SPC here. Here's our drought monitor. The solid lines demarcate your areas of greatest concern for drought. Please pause the video if you're interested in looking at that. Here's our current watches and warnings. Pretty quiet across the United States right now. We do have a flood watch across southwestern Pennsylvania and northern West Virginia. We also have scattered flood warnings across some of the rivers here, the mid-Mississippi River Valley, associated with excessive rain that we saw yesterday and the day before. We also have frost watches here in the northern tier and upper Midwest regions. Here's our surface evolution according to the WPC. We have this low pressure system that's going to make its way towards the east, bringing some cold fronts into the area, which should give a brief reprieve to the heat, at least for a little bit, until another high pressure builds in later. And this will actually bring multiple cold fronts, one of which in the backside will cause the severe weather risk for today here in the Ozarks region. Day 2 tomorrow, these low pressure systems will continue off to the east, and high pressure will start to build into the central United States around here. And tomorrow, that cold front will sweep across the United States, bringing our moisture, our robust Gulf moisture, down to the south, while this high pressure starts to spin a little bit of return flow from the Gulf, counterclockwise return to the Gulf, from the Gulf into the Central Plains by Friday. Here's our excessive rainfall forecast. Today we have a slight risk across southeastern Pennsylvania and northern West Virginia into Maryland. Day 2, no flash flooding is expected. Day 3, marginal risk across Joplin and vicinity. Day 4, broad slight risk across most of Missouri into the Central Plains and portions of the middle Mississippi River Valley. This is for Saturday. And day 5, a slight risk across much of the southern United States into the Mississippi River Valley. These two slight risks on Saturday and Sunday is associated with the return flow from that high pressure system that's slowly going to migrate east, and a renewed low pressure system, at least a weak one here in the Rockies. So here is our SPC outlooks for severe convective weather. Slight risk over the Ozarks region, and over the outer banks of North Carolina here. Tornado risk primarily relegated to that Outer Banks area, and this risk in the Ozarks is mainly a wind and hail threat. Day 2 outlook, patchy marginal risks across the northern Texas region, southern Oklahoma, and also scattered summertime severe thunderstorms expected in the peninsula of Florida. Day 3, we start to see some more return flow due to the high pressure. Again, marginal risk associated with summertime thunderstorms here in the peninsula of Florida, and marginal risk over here in the Central Plains. No extended range outlook from the SPC due to predictability concerns. Let's move on to our heat risk here. Heat continues across the Gulf Coast, building in areas such as Texas, but that is slowly going to deplete a little bit. We actually have sort of a break today due to that cold front starting to impinge into this region. But towards later this week, it will start to build again in areas such as Texas, as well as the southwestern regions, such as Southern California, and into the desert Southwest. This heat will continue to build in areas such as Texas, still some above average heat over here in these regions, but by mid next week, we should see a depletion of the heat across the southeastern United States. Finally seeing about normal temperatures around these regions by early to mid next week. Let's take a look at, we've been looking at San Antonio a lot, but here today, we still have high 90s forecasted and mid to upper 70s lows forecasted up until this weekend, which will cause a major heat risk for areas such as southern Texas. But as you can see, by early to mid next week, definitely better temperatures, probably associated with the pushing cold front that's going to make its way southward across early next week. Here is our extended range hazards. We have heavy rain expected for much of the southern United States, from the central to southern plains all the way to the mid-south. We also have an excessive heat risk here in southern Texas. Here's our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Below normal for much of the eastern United States and above normal for the western United States, and also patches such as the peninsula of Florida. Our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook here, above average for much of the southern United States and below average for portions of the western United States, possibly a return to some precipitation in areas such as the Pacific Northwest. Here is our evolution of the upper level pattern here. Here's the GFS. We have this broad, mostly zonal troughing, making its way eastward and kind of feeding our low pressure system just a little bit. Now it's a bit weak because there's no kind of vorticity advection. There's no curvature in this trough, so that's the low pressure is kind of depleting a bit, but that will make way into bridging across the western and southern United States, bringing above average temperatures for these portions of the CONUS. And also this broad upper level trough will of course bring below average temperatures for much of the northern tier of the US. And then another short wave is going to impinge onto the western United States, probably bringing some disturbed weather into the area. Broad cyclogenesis for multiple days, kind of weak cyclogenesis for multiple days, and a high pressure system building on the backside of this trough will allow for return flow into the central United States, bringing some disturbed weather into later this week into this weekend. This trough is expected to move its way east, but not really expected to really become robust or anything like the past pattern was. Looking at our precipitation type here, We have our low pressure system over here causing our disturbed weather on the east coast, moving off further into the east, kind of moving off the bonus there, and then a high pressure starting to build over here in the central United States, and also a weak low pressure response associated with meager upper level flow here, causing some nice southerly flow from the Gulf to bring some rain showers and possibly some severe weather, especially for southern extent. Moving on even further, we see lingering precipitation across the United States associated with some more weaker cyclogenesis, bringing some moisture from the Gulf and possibly some frontal regimes. Right, let's go ahead and look at our temperature anomalies. Much below average for the United States today. We expect temperatures almost 30 degrees below average here in the northern United States, extending across the northern tier here. Above average temperatures for much of the western United States and into the south. This sort of general pattern will continue off into later next week, bringing into this later this week into this weekend. We could see the Northeast reach 20 to 30 degrees below average around here, around Friday. Still above average temperatures in Texas. That will not stop until early to mid week next week, and those below average temperatures will slowly sink down into the central United States, and finally the midweek next week should see some below average temperatures here in the southern United States. Much above average temperatures as well expected throughout the Pacific Northwest by early to mid next week. Let's go ahead and look at our ensemble data. Let's just bring this low pressure systems, meager surface responses from that impingement of that meager flow aloft. Still, we do expect this high pressure to build in areas such as the northern tier and bring some return flow there, but not really much expected across late this week. If so, it's pretty unpredictable at this point. All right, and let's look at the extended range temperature anomalies here and below average temperatures. I should see a return to above average temperatures for the western United States by mid to late next week, and much below average temperatures for the southern tier by mid to late week next week as well. All right, so that is going to be it for today's weather briefing. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and possibly subscribe if you want to hear more. And of course, leave a comment if you have any constructive criticisms. If you're looking for anything specific for your area, please refer to your local National Weather Service or broadcast meteorologists. Thank you and have a great day.